Where do you see God? Do you see God in the sunset as you're driving along the beach? Do you see God as you're maybe on your back porch, enjoying the rather warm breeze at this time of the year? Maybe you're praying. Do you see God in your family members? Do you see God as you're serving those who are hungry, as you're serving those who are sick? Where do you see God? You know, each of us are going to have different responses to that question. And I remember as a small child riding up and down Beach Boulevard, and I'll never forget, it was at dusk and the sky was so beautiful. It had that almost pink look. And I was probably maybe 5 or 6. I was riding with my mother in the Bronco. And I'll never forget, I was looking and admiring the sky, and I told Mother, I said, "Mama, how can someone see this beautiful sunset and not believe in God?" You know, God creates these beautiful images that we experience throughout our lives. And it doesn't just have to be in nature. Maybe it could be a situation that presents itself that God permits, and we see Him moving in such a beautiful way that we know that it's God who's moving. Our first reading today comes from the book of Kings. And this is one of my absolute favorite readings from the Old Testament. Because, you know, it's not that God didn't show up in the wind. He didn't show up in the earthquake. He didn't show up in the fire. Where did He show up? In the silence. He showed up in the silence. Now, for people like me, that means shut up, Braxton, so that you can hear God. And it's true. Sometimes we have to take a step back. We have to say, "Lord, I'm going to take my step back. I'm going to go to that mountain, and I'm going to let you speak to me." And He will. He does speak to us. In fact, in this first reading today, if you picked up on it, Elijah goes to this cave because they're trying to kill him, and he's going to pray. Now, it was probably more in Elijah's comfort zone to say, "Lord, I'd rather just stay here. I just want to stay here in this cave where it's safe, where I don't have people who are trying to kill me, where I don't have people who are just out to get me." But what does God do? God tells him, "No, you have to go back. You have a mission." God pushes Elijah out of his comfort zone of that cave and says, "You must go, you must proclaim." Now Elijah just got through telling God, but God, they're trying to kill me. And God says, "Go, take that road back." Is the Lord telling us also in our lives? You know, it reminds me of this great quote by Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI. "We were not made for comfort. We were made for greatness." You see, Elijah could have been comfortable and just stayed in that cave. But he was made for something greater than that. You see, brothers and sisters, us too, each and every one of us, are made for something great. Are we listening to the Lord in those moments of silence? Are we open to Him, to His moving, to His word when He calls us to do something? All we have to do is simply say, "Lord, speak. I'm here." But we have to listen. Flipping into our gospel today, which is from Matthew, Jesus is pretty direct in this gospel. when he talks about divorce, he talks about adultery, he talks about committing sin in our own hearts. What does that mean? He's pretty explicit. He's pretty direct here today. But you know, one of the things that really stands out to me in this reading today is the fact that if there is something that is plaguing us, a particular sin, we have to cut it off. And if we go through the history of the church, particularly whether it be any of the 7 deadly sins, we know that the way that we combat those 7 deadly sins is how? Through prayer, through fasting, and through almsgiving. You see, if you struggle with lust, what do? You fast. Why do you fast? Because lust is one of the sins of the what? It's a sin of the flesh. When we deny our fleshly desires, we fast. That's what we do. That's how we grow in the spiritual life. And so, brothers and sisters, as we come together here, as we prepare to encounter our Lord Jesus Christ here in the Eucharist this morning, we ask him, Lord, in a very special and particular way, we ask that you give us the courage to step out of our comfort zone, to step out of that cave, to go forth and to do your work. We know that it could be dangerous. It could be a little uncomfortable. Maybe, heck, it's a lot uncomfortable. But Lord, just how you called Elijah to go back and to profess the truth to the people of Israel, you too call us. Give us the strength from this Eucharist to go forth and to do just that. To be examples of your love, to be beacons of light, and to be an image of you.